Should have had some music for that, but welcome, fellow Toastmasters and guests. This meeting of the online presenters Toastmasters Club has now begun. Guests, please note that in order to be a member of our club, you must be a current or former active member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 Toastmasters official speeches. However, if you have substantial relevant presentation experience, we welcome you to apply for membership after you demonstrate your abilities in a 2 to 3 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. All requests for our membership are subject to approval by our club members. If you have not already done so, please change your panel to ensure it displays your name and role. Hover over your video, right-click, and select Rename to do so. Also, please mute your microphone when you are not speaking. We have members and guests from many countries throughout the world. As a professional organization, we ask that you be aware of language or word usage that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that we will be recording the meeting. Your video and audio contribution may be used for club marketing purposes. Please help me welcome our club president, Mary Ann Grady, to the virtual stage. Welcome, Mary Ann.
Well, thank you, Sunny. And I mean a big thank you because I've been traveling this weekend and I got in about a half an hour ago. So I'm tired, but I had a really fun birthday weekend. So it's all worth it. Now,
Oh, happy
tonight,
birthday. Happy
well, thank you.
birthday.
I wanted to let everybody know that, we are online presenters and Jicky Ferrer is going to teach us about using PowerPoint, which is a great tool for us, right? So I am very excited about that presentation. I also want to let everybody know that we are back in due season and you might have received an email from Sarah Idahan and she is asking everybody to get started paying their dues. So please, if you can, get that out of the way right now because we have work to do. We don't want to be worried about the dues. Now I am going to, let me see. I am going to throw right away to Mr. David F. Carr, founding president and immediate past president, as he is Toastmaster of the Day. Put your hands together, everybody.
Thank you so much, Mary Ann. And I'm glad to be able to be Toastmaster of the Day for a meeting where we have a special guest speaker. And so if anybody wandered in here not necessarily knowing that this was a special meeting, this is a special meeting. So we do try and have educational events about once a month, sometimes more frequently. We also do have a webinar contest coming up in September, which is the latest in a series of those events that are open to Toastmasters from elsewhere who would like to show off their digital pizzazz skills here. And we're hoping to do a runoff with the winners of each of the first few contests in October. So excitement still to come, but we have excitement for tonight built around our guest speaker again. I don't know whether it's possible we might have a little bit of time for table topics towards the end, but we're not actually sure about that. Often what happens when we have somebody in who is good and is a guest speaker is we get so wrapped up in the Q&A that we don't have time for all that. And that's just fine. We do have a few people supporting us in this meeting. We have our timer, Carolina Ramirez. And Carolina, can you just introduce the role of timer and how you'll be performing it this evening?
Yes, sure. As a timer, my role is to keep track of time for the speeches. When I show the green card, it means that the speaker has 2 minutes left. Green card. When I show the yellow card, you should be aware that your time will be up soon. And when I show the red card, it means that your time is up. At the end of the meeting, I will present my report for everyone. Back to you, David.
Terrific. We have an counter this evening. which is usually my nemesis. Jicky, you're speaking for longer. You have more opportunities to and ah, so you might hear a little bit about that. Well, I think we'll be pretty nice about it, though. And the counter for this evening is Andrei Smolenko.
Hello, David. Thank you. Yes, I'm our counselor for the evening, and my role, I'm not sure if we need my role for tonight. I may just relax and let the professional speakers and presenters do what they want to do. It's what I wanted to do. However, I warn you that I will be listening, I will be watching, and if any R's and R's inappropriately used, I'll try to tell you about that in a most possible nice manner. But
Okay.
good evening.
All right. We have a grammarian for this evening. Our grammarian is Marion Grady. Marion, can you tell us about your role and our word of the day?
I will be listening to you. I believe the word of the day is exhibition, though I did not pick it, so I'm sorry about that. I'm not prepared with that. But as grammarian, I will be listening for the use of the English language. We would look for verbal gems. We will also look for things that perhaps need a little correction, but it's very important how we speak. So I'm listening. Back to you, David.
All right, terrific. And we don't have people just listening, we have people watching you. Our watcher for this evening is Karthika. Karthika, can you explain the watcher role and why it's important?
Yeah, definitely, David. I'll be your watcher. It's a significant to present yourself online in online meetings as well as in person. So I'll be watching you. How do you present yourself throughout the meeting? I'll report by the end of the meeting. Over to you. And I'll report by the end of the meeting. Over to you, David.
All right, terrific. Also, there can be some back channel communication in online meetings. Joni Renee Laidlaw will be our chat monitor. Can you explain us why we have a chat monitor in this club?
As our presenter today said, chatty, Joni, it's not because I talk too much. It's because I think too much. And at the second when our presenter hits that point that you really want to unmute and say something, please don't, we don't want to interrupt the presentation, but there is the chat. So normally we ask to be respectful during the meeting and not utilize the chat so much when presenters are presenting. But today, as soon as the idea, thought, quote, funny quip comes to your mind, drop it in the chat, and I'll be there to monitor it and be chatty when it comes time to present. Back to you, David.
All right, terrific. We already heard from Carolina, who is our timer, but she's also going to be our vote counter. It's not clear how much vote counting there will need to be done in this meeting, particularly if we run out of time for table topics. But how about we have a vote for the person who asks the best question or gives the best piece of feedback when we get to that part. So that'll give us something else to vote on, and possibly also for table topics. And Caroline, I don't know if we need you to explain that too much, but we do drop a link in the chat usually, and anybody, including guests, is welcome to vote. With that, let's dive into our main featured presentation for the evening. So I know Jicky is a cinematography fan. So we're past the coming attractions and we're getting into the actual movie for the evening, the feature presentation. Now we have this budgeted for about 30 minutes, and I guess we'll wait until after that to go to Q&A. We'll see where we can go from there. Now, Jicky, I'm going to give kind of a digested version of the bio that I found on your website. Jicky tells me that he does training in presentation and collaboration technologies for folks including officers at 3-letter agencies, by which I think he means he could tell me, but then he'd have to kill me. He began his professional career at Hawaii Public Television while he was still a student at the University of Hawaii, Manoa, and later worked at the CBS affiliate there on programs including the Evening News. He honed his producing and directing skills while working for the Public Affairs Office at the Pearl Harbor Naval Shipyard in the 80s, and then moved on to other military and government communication jobs all over Europe, the continental US, Alaska, Hawaii, and Asia. He's a pioneer in using desktop and room-based video conferencing systems in the workplace, but he also invested in making those experiences accessible for the deaf and hard of hearing. And he's an expert on accessibility programs and compliance with federal regulations along those lines. During the COVID-19 crisis, he developed a curriculum on the effective use of Microsoft Teams, which is something he continues to teach about. So he's training people on Microsoft collaboration technologies globally, mostly by video conference. He's an American Film Institute's fellow and studied directing and cinematography under John Alonzo, an Academy Award-winning cinematography person who was on films like Norma Ray, The Magnificent Seven, Steel Magnolias, Scarface, and Chinatown. So he uses his professional production skills in his instruction to help us make your online experience presenting optimized. I might say jazzy. Maybe we'll get some of the jazz too, to jazz up your presentation, but also to make it effective as a communication tool. He works with the Joint Worldwide Communications System for the federal government, does global instruction on that system since 1995. He's a part of the AARP Speakers Bureau and has been a TEDx speaker where his speech was How Collaboration and Reinvention Cure Complacency. A Toastmaster since April 1st, 2013, he is a 10-time DTM. We have some overachievers in this club, but he might have us beat there. And a 2-time Toastmaster of the Year for Hawaii's District 49. He's an inspiring author. The title mentioned here is Chicken Long Rice for the Soul. All right, so beyond just chicken soup, chicken long. I don't even know what chicken long is, Jizzy, but maybe we'll find out along the way. With that, it's time for me to step aside and turn our meeting over to our presenter for today, Jicky, you're on.
Thank you, David, for that introduction. It's great to be here, everyone. And I'm looking forward to teaching you the pertinent information that you're going to utilize in order to improve your online presentations, as well as your in-person presentations. We'll throw that in as part of the process to improve any kind of presentation, but primarily your online presentation. Joni was very kind to invite me to come to your session, and she's identified 3 individuals who will be utilizing their PowerPoints, and we will be utilizing those PowerPoints to improve and use as examples how they could improve their particular presentation. The 3 people are Elena, Sunny, and David. Sunny had shared with me earlier, she says, Jicky, if I go last, I may not get to do all the cool things. So here's how we're going to select what order each one of these 3 presenters are going to go in order to share information with you. Are you ready, those 3 individuals? Your job, in the order that you respond correctly, is to chat your Toastmaster membership number in the chat box right now. First person that puts in their membership number will go first, the second person second, and of course the last person will go last. Let's have some music while we're waiting for them to put in their memorized numbers.
Dum 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 dum.
All right, so it's Sunny. So Sunny will go first.
I look, I looked it up. I didn't know. You mean you have to do it by memory?
No, you just have to put your membership number in first, followed by David, and then we will go with Elena. So we're going to ask Dr. Sunny to put up her PowerPoint and to share her PowerPoint. And as she's doing that, here are some tips that I would like to share with all of you. When you are, as she's bringing up her PowerPoint, when you are presenting, one of the biggest no-nos that I would share with everyone is never eating and never drinking while you're on camera. I have seen professional speakers do this during the presentation. Now, if you're working on a commercial for a particular brand and you're promoting them and you have to show their product, it makes sense. But even James Bond with a martini, drinking his martini on camera, just doesn't look elegant. If you're going to drink or eat during your session, cover your camera, do what you need to do to quench your thirst, and then uncover your camera. Remember, eating on camera, drinking on camera. If you heard that adage from your kindergarten teacher, if you're chewing gum, I hope you brought gum for everybody. In this case, it's virtual. So you're not going to do that. All right, let's begin with Dr. Sunny's presentation. Dr. Sunny has her Vice President of Public Relations presentation. And I'm going to ask her to go to slide sorter for us here to demonstrate what that looks like. And let's see how many possible slides she has. She has a total of 38 slides. I'm going to ask Dr. Sunny to now go into slideshow, But before she does that, that's fine. She's in there. Let's look at a particular slide. Let's scroll down the page for me, please. And we want to see a particular slide that has all the logos on it, and it's slide number 14. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask her to go to slideshow first. Go to slideshow and opening slide. Now, during the session, someone was paying very close attention to what she was saying. And they said, you know, she showed such a great slide, but I think it was slide 14. Now, what Sunny would do to find slide 14, she would advance her slide, just advance your slides. Okay, go back to slideshow. And now just forward one slide at a time. Okay, go back to slideshow.
I'm there. And when I advance.
Okay, so what it does, it advances. That's okay. So what we're going to do is we know class that slide. So that's what she's doing. She's advancing the slides now. But stop right there. But if someone says, Dr. Sunny, you had a great slide and it had all these logos, I think it was 14. So what she's going to do is she's going to enter 1-4 and then enter. Watch what happens. Straight to the slide that has all the brands in it. How many of you, by show of hands, now remember, here's what happens. This is all about participation. So the person that gets the most points during this session will be entitled to a 1-hour private session with me where I will work with you on your slide deck and we'll work on some of the tools that we have today. Okay, so remember, the person with the correct answers, as you answer them in the chat, will be totaled by Chatty Joni Laidlaw, and she can participate as well. All right, so remember that. If we want to go to slide 20, Dr. Sunny would enter 20 and then enter, and she goes straight to that particular slide. Okay.
I love this. I love this.
It's so much faster. And if you have someone in your audience that's very attentive and they can only describe the slide for you, if you have an inkling of where that slide number is, you could do that. The other thing you could do, what Dr. Sunny could do, is she can go to print all of her slides and then print 6 to a page, and then just have 8 slides, 6 to a page, and then have that on the side of her laptop computer. And then that way, when someone says, hey, there was a particular slide that had a description of something, could you advance to that slide? She could just refer to the 6 slides per page and identify it fairly quickly and go straight to that slide. All right. So that's your first tip. What's about your second tip? You are standing in front of the audience and they are just looking very intently at your slide, but that information was given already. You're no longer talking about the slide. You want to bring the attention over to you because what's on the slide is being reinforced by you. So as a presenter, if you press the alphabet B, watch what happens. Look at that. The slide goes to black. Now, when Dr. Sunny talks, the information people will be looking at her as she does her delivery. Some of you are probably thinking, well, I don't want the computer to go to black because I don't know where I am. I don't know if the computer went kaboots on me. Can I do something else? Well, press the B button again and let's see what happens. We go back to the slide. We get to see the slide that she's on. Now, if you don't want the slide in the computer to go completely to black, what you can do is press the letter W. Press the letter W. Watch what happens. It will go to white. It'll remove the information on the screen, but what we will see is a white page. When she presses the W again, the slide returns back to where it was.
Wow.
So now you've learned
I love
3
it.
things. Great.
Yes.
I'm glad you could use that. I'm glad you can use that.
And my time is up because others have to go, but thank you for those great tips. I love it.
You're welcome. Let's go to David, our second person who is going to share his desktop. David. And if you have a really, really good question and you put it in the chat and it's worth 5 points, you might get 5 points based on applicability to the rest of the members of this club. All right, David, let's see your slideshow.
All right, you want it to be in presenter view or just
bring your slide up and then not in slideshow.
not in.
Go ahead and go ahead and bring up your PowerPoint.
Okay.
All right.
So I have a big monitor that kind of distorts things, but
that's all good. Okay, so we see your first slide. How Club Awesome does hybrid write. So this is by David. Now, if David wanted, so let's see how many slides total you have, David.
So it's what? 11.
You have 11 slides.
Yep.
Okay. So now what I would like you to do is to go to slideshow. And I would like you to punch in the number 10, enter.
Okay.
This is the second to the last slide, everybody, because he said he had 11 slides. I'm going to ask you to forward your slide. Forward your slide one more time. And forward your slide one more time.
Oh.
Now, what happened here was because he went past his black slide, it went back to this format. What you want to do during your session is you want your slides to recycle all over again. So what I'm going to ask David to do is go to the top raster where it says slideshow.
Here?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Click on that.
Wait, that's just the tab entry or?
Click on the tab entry for slideshow at the very top.
Okay, I'm there.
Okay, and then I'm going to lean in everyone so I can see because I'm chronologically challenged. And then we're going to go to make sure loop slides is selected.
It's check mark.
It's check marked. Okay.
Well, I'm asking because I don't.
Yes, we want that to be check marked.
I don't see it. I don't see
Okay,
that.
so if you go to you see where it says record, and then right next to that it says keep slides updated. You use the pull down menu, use the setup menu, click on the setup menu down below where it says setup. There you go,
Okay.
right there. Click on that.
I may be clicking on the wrong thing, but it's not, doesn't seem to be doing anything. Or
Okay.
let's see.
You want to go to, oh, I'm sorry, go to setup slideshow to the left. Setup slideshow. There we go.
Okay.
There we go. Now on that, what you all saw what happened earlier. We're going to go to click on loop continuously until escape. Now say okay.
Right.
Now go back to slideshow, the slideshow format.
Okay.
Enter 10.
Okay. Now we're going to go in circles, huh? Okay.
So what does that do for you in class, everyone? If you don't check that box off and you advance too much and it goes back to that default before slideshow, you won't be able to go back to slide number 5. And there is Graham. Everyone saw Graham drinking on camera. You see what that looked like? And he gets 2 points for doing that for your benefit. 2 points for Graham for doing that. But nobody else do that now because we're not awarded any more points. He was doing that for the class's benefit. So what does that do for everybody by going to slideshow? I have seen very, very many professionals be up on stage. They would nervously click through all their slides because of testing something or something may have gone awry. And then they would go back to the slide sorter view, not knowing how to get back to that menu. Okay, so loop continuously under setup show, loop continuously until escape. This gives you, so now when you do that, and let's have David show you one more time. You see that, and maybe blow that up for everybody in the audience if you can by hitting Control plus.
I don't think it makes that larger. No.
Okay. Okay. We'll show you another trick afterwards. All right. So does that any questions on what David did for your benefit? Any questions, group? And that should conclude David's segment. We're going to go to Elena now. Thank you, David. Let's give Elena and Sunny a round of applause. All right, let's go and take a look at Elena's desktop. Elena, if you have a PowerPoint, let's bring that up for everyone to see. And Elena's still with us, correct?
Elena did just post that she was having some connection issues.
Okay. Shall we go to another volunteer, Chatty Joni? Okay. Let's get another. One. Okay, someone has one. Okay, who is that? Go ahead.
It's just notes though, so.
That's okay.
So I think I need permission to share.
Sana, it would be nice if you had introduced yourself so our presenter can address you by name. Just say, you can share.
Okay, thank you. Tab. There we go, share.
Okay.
Oops.
All right. So the Immaculate Conception presentation. Let's take a look at this, and what we want to do for this segment is to show you how to do captions and subtitles. You see up there, right under the word record, we're going to have you use the pull down menu where it says, go back to where you were before, slideshow. And you see where it says captions and subtitles? You're going to use the pull down menu. It's right below the word record. There you go. Click on that. And then you're going to go to caption, click on the word caption and subtitles. Very good. You're going to
it's not
click on that, and then you're going to check the box, always use subtitles.
okay. I deactivated some of these connection privacy things, so maybe I won't get the chance here.
Let's just see if it works. Go ahead and say okay. Go back to
Mhm.
captions and subtitles. And then when you check on that box right next to always use subtitles. So go ahead and cancel this. So when you go to say okay, when you go to the captions and subtitles, and then when you go, you see the box where it's right where it says always use subtitles. Can you check inside that box for me?
Yeah.
Okay, and it defaults to that. Okay.
Yes.
All right, so that's what happens there. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna just verbalize a little bit for everyone, but let's just say okay. Now, the reason why, when all of you have an opportunity, maybe what we'll do is we will show how that works, and we'll go to another segment now. But we're gonna, if we have time, we'll use captions and subtitles as a bonus. The reason why it's important for you to know and to utilize that feature class is because as we get more into accessibility, you want to be able to show your PowerPoint and what you're saying to appear on screen. And the reason why I say that is because accessibility for everyone is probably the last area where we need to avoid not being inclusive. Okay, that's real important. So we're going to do another exercise. So we're going to insert a video right here. So let's go to slides. We're going to go to slideshow. I mean, not slideshow. We're going to go to slide sorter. And we're going to go to insert on the very top, right next to home and right between draw. And we're going to look for a video. Do you have any kind of video on your computer?
No.
You don't have a video for your computer. Okay, that's
Not,
okay.
no.
That's
It's a new
okay.
one.
We'll do that in an advanced class later on. But in this case, what we would do is we would include a video. And I would always recommend when you insert a video, it's really important to insert that video and not to use an internet link. And the reason
Okay.
why I say this is because when you go to a live presentation, say you're at a TEDx talk and you're going to insert a link and you're ready to do your live presentation, you're relying on that link. Remember, that link is coming from the internet. And at any point during your TEDx talk or your presentation, if that link is broken, you may not be able to play that link back, okay? So remember, you want that video to be on your desktop, and then from there, insert that video from your desktop onto your computer, all right? Any questions on that? So we learned a couple of new things on here. I don't know if we have
Yes,
time for
not
any
to
other
interrupt,
areas.
but
Yes, go
from
right
the
ahead.
chat, we do. Distinguished Toastmaster Andrew Burns, and is asking, how does this work for keynotes and slides
So
as it relates to the caption?
okay, so what the caption does is PowerPoint is so smart that when you start talking and your microphone is attached to your laptop, the subtitles will translate your information and it would appear wherever you presented it on the screen. I normally like to have my subtitles appear on the top of the screen. And the reason why I like it appearing at the top of the screen is because when I talk and I want to see the words, I have it at the top of the screen. If I had my subtitles at the bottom of the screen and I were to read what I was saying, my eyes would appear looking at the bottom. But since my camera is right here at the top bezel of my laptop, and my subtitles are at the top, I can verify what I'm saying and it looks like I'm looking at the person at the distant end as well. Okay, so it's a win-win, because remember, if you're reading at the bottom, you're not maintaining that eye contact with the people that you are speaking with. When the words are at the top, your eyes are at the top and you're reading it from the top. Okay, so those are some of the important things. Do we have, I'm going to ask our
Yes.
timer.
Oh,
Go ahead,
we
Jody.
had another question.
Yes.
Orly was asking, or she stated, and Kerry Kong agreed that inserting the video makes the file super big though. Would you have a tip as it relates to that?
Yes, great question. Let's award that question 5 points. That's a big question. That's a 5-point question. And the reason why I say if the video is really big, if you have a Mac or a PC, what you want to do is take that video file that you downloaded, bring it into the edit feature of your Mac, whether it's iMovie, Final Cut Pro. For your PC, it's going to be another editing tool that's embedded in your PC. And then you're going to insert the file there. You're going to delete anything that isn't important, okay? When you delete the items that aren't important, you're going to save the file, and you're going to save the file to an email type file. It's going to give you an option. How do you want to save the file? HD? Remember, if it's HD, it's so big. But when you save it as an email, the file is much smaller. Now, in this case, you're not doing broadcast television. You're not needing high resolution. You need a small file that's big enough to be able to play back to your audience. So save that file as an email. It will shrink the file down, and then you can embed it into your session, and that way it can be played back. Okay? That was a good 5-point question for whoever that was. Are there any other questions, and do we still have time?
I think we still have times for some more. We budgeted, well, I guess we're actually a little bit over our 30 minutes, but I think we can take more time for this.
Okay, let's
This
just
is valuable content. We really appreciate it.
Sure.
What about
There's
this designer feature here that says for slide makeovers? Oh, I'm not connected. It's okay.
So the designer feature gives you exactly that. Any feature. So what happens with all kinds of things with PowerPoint, if you have a license, Microsoft might send you an upgrade overnight or on Sunday. And as you're ready to use the file, it may have changed. The other thing to remember is if you take your PowerPoint and you send it to a Mac, the Mac will convert your files and redesign your files and your fonts. And the problem with that is if you're seeing it appear for a new time, you might get shaken up because that's not my slide. That's not what I put, because the words will have changed. So if you are on a Mac, you have the option to save as PowerPoint, even though you built it in Keynote, okay? So remember, when you're presenting, you want to be able to test your system out. Case in point, I'm going to give you an example. How many of you know who Sir Paul McCartney is? Show of hands. All right. He's 1/4 of the Beatles, right? Before COVID, my wife gifted me with a trip to Sedona, Arizona. Oh, that rhymes. To go to see Sir Paul McCartney. We went to the concert 2 days before the concert began. We stayed at a hotel next to the Civic Center where he was performing. The day before the performance, he's a Beatle. He's been performing since the early 60s. We could hear him rehearsing the same songs that he's known since the 1960s that he even co-wrote with John Lennon. Practice. That shows that he practiced, he tested the sound system, they tested the cameras, they tested everything. Never get to a point where you think that everything is perfect, because there's going to be somebody new who is going to be running the technology. And if they don't know your cadence, there could be a mistake in your professional performance, okay? So always test your hardware, test your microphone, test your clickers, because if you're using a clicker and it's the first time you're using it, you don't want to have, yes, we want to test everything on the Starship Enterprise before we have this session with the online Toastmasters, okay? So it's always important to test your systems prior to the session. Now, I'm going to give you the name of another Paul. How many of you know Paul Simon? The name Paul Simon. Raise your hand if you heard of Simon and Garfunkel. That same year, my wife and I flew to the island of Maui to see a concert by the other Paul. We sat in the audience. We had sound check problems after sound check problems, because when he was singing the sounds of silence, there was no sound. Okay, so what I want to point out is always test your equipment. It doesn't matter if you're a professional speaker, if you've spoken, if you're a multi-DTM, if you're a national, you're a CSP with the National Speakers Association. Test the equipment, because what you don't want to have is egg on your face during your session, especially when your audience members are expecting a high-end performance. Any other questions before we conclude our session? Any other
Just
questions,
a
Joni?
quick one from me, if I may, Jicky.
Yes.
You mentioned inserting or embedding videos. I regularly do that in some of my PowerPoints.
Yes.
Sometimes when I advance to the appropriate slide, the video will start. Sometimes I have to click on the embedded video for it to start. And I have no idea why it operates differently depending on, I don't know, the phase of the moon. Any suggestions?
Is it the same PowerPoint and same computer?
PowerPoint, same PowerPoint,
So,
same video. Yeah.
let's see. Let's do an example here. If we have time, I'm going to bring up a PowerPoint for you, and I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to share it. And everyone tell me if you can see my PowerPoint. It's trying to resolve itself. And then I'm going to share it, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, okay? So that way we have an idea of where the issue was. Are you all still there?
We're still here, but we're not
Okay.
seeing your PowerPoint.
You're not seeing my PowerPoint because not sharing it yet. I'm going to share it now. 1 second.
We do have a red
And
light, by the way, so perhaps.
we do have a red light. Okay.
But we'll give you a few more minutes.
Okay, I don't want to overstay my welcome. I don't want to overstay my welcome. Okay, we're going to go to PowerPoint, and I'm going to share my PowerPoint, and I'm also going to include sound. All right, so here we go. We have PowerPoint, and you're seeing this device. We found this device to be utilized for closed captioning. But what I want to do here is I want to include a video, right? So what happened with Graham's video, he said that we had a situation where the video didn't play. I'm going to insert a video. I'm going to press insert. It's top left-hand corner right next to home. I'm going to select video, far right-hand corner right next to audio. And I'm going to get a video on my PC to insert. So remember, I want the video to come from my session. Okay, so we're going to use this particular video right here. I'm going to click on this video, and I'm going to insert it. So this is from America's Got Talent. We did a contest with America's Got Talent where we said, Good Vibes has talent, and we were auditioning for people. Okay, so here's the video. Now that I have the video, I want to click on the video class. We're going to click on the video and we're going to play it back. So let's move this out of the way here so I can see the features. I'm going to click on the tab for playback. And what I want is, I don't want it to play when I click on it. I want it to play automatically. And I want it to play full screen. And I want the audio to be high, on high. I don't want the audio to play low. I want it to play high. Now that I've done that, I put that on slide number 1. Let's move this to slide number 2. All right, so we're going to go to slideshow number 1. So it's going to be these images here. And we're going to go to slideshow. So we're going to now go to slideshow and we're going to have it from the beginning. Now that is the first slide. I want to advance the slide and I'm going to hit the advance button and I'm hoping that the slide will play with the music automatically. There it is. All right. So remember, you want, let's repeat that process one more time. So I'm going to get rid of the video and I'm going to insert that again, but I won't make it full screen. I'm going to go insert video. I go insert, I go video on my PC. Let's look for another video that's on my PC. And I'm going to go to my video folder. And let's see if we have anything there. Oh, we don't have anything. So we're going to have to go to that same video that we had before. So we're going to go and let's just grab a video from the Good Vibes video. Oh, they don't have one here. Okay, so there is a young lady's video. I would like to show it to you. And let's see if it's buried in here. And America's Got Talent from Clip Camp. That's the same thing. We're going to insert that. Again, the steps for this class is, it's real important that when you insert that video, it's not doing it for me now, but that's okay. You got the gist of it earlier. You go to video, insert video from the PC, not from the internet. And then once you get that, you want that to play full screen. All right. So that in a nutshell, I'm going to stop sharing. That in a nutshell class is some of the different tips and tricks. There's lots of tips, as you can see, there's lots of tips and tricks that you can have. And there's more tips and tricks than we have time for. I'm going to return the evening back to David, our Toastmaster of the day, for having the patience. But before we do that, let's go back to Joni and say, Joni, who has the most points from this particular session? Who gets the 1 hour session with me?
Orly actually won with the whopping question that she did. And before you ask, let me ask David, can we forego table topics because the chat is active with a number of questions?
Yeah, Jicky, if you're willing to be patient with us, we have people who want to ask questions, and I'd like to give them the opportunity to do that. And if we have a few minutes left over for table topics, we have some table topics prepared as well. But
Okay.
I think people would like to take advantage of you while we have you here.
Take advantage of me, please.
Actually, I have a question about the videos. Do you always set it to automatically play when you advance to the slide, or are there times?
Yes, I
where...
do.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
And the reason why I do that is because of my training in broadcast, television, and film. If you have a blank moment where you're pausing and you're saying something and you're pausing, that's a dead moment of airtime, right? And so when you transition from one slide straight to the video, it becomes seamless and the audience does have no idea that there may have been a mistake. I remember years ago at the Super Bowl, they lost sound. So during that Super Bowl where they paid millions of dollars, guess what happened when they lost sound? People changed the channel. When you change the channel or someone brings their smartphone during the session because you're having problems, they're now playing with their smartphone because they're distracted. Okay, so you don't want any kind of blank. You go straight from slide straight to video. And you can do video back to back. videos. Okay. So if there is another opportunity for me to come back to show you some of the major hiccups and how to avoid that, we'll do that in the future. Let's go to another question. Do I have my contact information is on my webpage? Go to my webpage, TeamsTechTalk.com.
And that was in the chat along with useful information about Toastmasters. Toastmaster Marlene, distinguished Toastmaster Marlene Stevenson Daly asks, when you use the designer feature, it tends to reduce the font size, which can make legibility an issue. Is there a fix for that?
So I wouldn't use the designer mainly because what I do use is the accessibility tool. Because even at when Willie Blue and I went to the National Speakers Association and we saw some of the slides, we saw some fantastic slides and some fantastic videos. I have some of them here on my computer that I would like to share with some of you, but I don't have copyright on that. So you're gonna say, Jicky, I want to come to the session where you're going to show me some of those great videos on AI. The thing with the videos and the thing with designer, you don't want cursive types of fonts on the screen, because if I'm visually challenged and I can't read your serifa because you've used cursive, then that puts me at a disadvantage, okay? If I don't use contrast, so look at Marag's slide. It's black background, white letters. I can read that from far away. So remember, contrast is also important. Some of those presenters at the NSA, they used red letters on a black slide. And if you were colorblind, you won't be able to see it. The importance thing here is to make sure that your message is received by 100% of the audience, not 90%, 100%. Okay, so make your fonts as big as possible. And if you're going to have a picture on there, do not make your slide where it is a dissertation on war and peace. You want the bullets, you want 5 to 7 bullets, and the rest of the information in your notes of your slide. You don't want to put all the detail. All right, next question.
That segues well when you spoke about the colors to our question from President Marianne, who said, instead of going to black or white, can you go easily to the speaker? She may have to elaborate. And Orly said, I believe there's a way of inserting your video on the slide too. Maybe you can speak about that.
So there is a feature when you go to presentation. So this appears also in Zoom and also appears in Microsoft Teams, where you're going to go to, what's another name for 5 points? Type in, what's another name for the 3 dots, the formal name of the 3 dots. First person that types in the word gets 5 points. Ellipse. Yes, Dr. Andrew Byrne has 5 points. Ellipses. Ellipses is the correct. So you know what? We're going to give Dr. Andrew Burns, because he was around, Jeopardy does this all the time. We're going to say ellipse. We're going to give you 2 points, but Graham put ellipsis, but Marag put the correct spelling. She gets 5 points. Graham gets 3 points. Dr. Andrew gets 3 points, but the correct spelling is Marag. Marag from Marag. She gets 5 points. Okay, so you're going to go to your ellipses and you're going to, there is an advanced feature here. And what you're going to do is you're going to go to your share, and there's a feature on Zoom that allows you to pick showing your slides and you at the same time. It's an advanced feature on Zoom, and that's another class. It would take a lot to show that, but you would go into video settings, and then once you go into video settings, you're going to go, I believe it's side by side option there, sharing screen. You're gonna, there's a and I don't see it here. I'm actually looking at your settings here. And in this particular version, I don't see the advanced settings where I could embed myself over my PowerPoint like a weather person, okay? But that feature does exist. Another thing that you can do is if you are a presenter, you can change your background. You see how Joni has online presenters in the background? So what she can do is you can take your background and then have series of your background and the slides there. And then she can move back, and then she could also move to the side like that and say, hey, look at this. You see this right here? And then, you know, she could just point to the slides that way. But the thing to remember is that you need to be far enough away from your camera in order to pull that out. That's why it's important to use a headset camera, a microphone. And the reason why I'm always going to promote this, we're doing a live event in the backyard. We're going to show you how to hook up your computer to the public address system and also how to hook up to a projector. But you're going to use this kind of microphone. And this was developed by, guess who? You know, the first showing of this was probably developed by Jim Henson. Jim Henson and the Muppets. Because remember, they had to hold their puppets up like this, right? And whenever they turned their head, the microphone was still equidistant from their mouth the whole time they turned. If the microphone was here on a lavalier and I turned my head, the audio will drop off. The audio will get strong again. The audio will drop off. You saw this phenomenon at previous world championships of public speaking. They used to use the headset microphone. But if you're a professional speaker, I would say invest in getting a microphone, a wireless microphone. Wear that, because what is going to happen? Tony Robbins wears this all the time. He never uses a lavalier mic. You always want that sound to be consistent with you the entire time. And remember, you heard it here. I believe it was the Muppets that started that with Jim Henson. Google that and you'll see rigs that they put together of a microphone on a boom arm. All right. Are there any other questions?
I have one as it relates to Cameo. Since you said about being in the presentation, I believe Microsoft PowerPoint, it's called Cameo, and inserting Cameo into your presentation. Would you have any tips on that?
So Traka did that. So Cameo is another feature. The thing about it, so Traka gets 5 points because she shows that layout right there. She does a screenshot, so she gets 5 points. And so for doing that, and that's off of Zoom. And so she has that in her layout. She gets 5 points. So Cameo, there's all kinds of software there's out there. There's outboard boxes that you could use. There's OBS, there's Ecamm. And the thing about it is that whenever you introduce a new toy, do not use that new toy on learn it the day before or the hour before your presentation. That's the wrong thing to do, because when something is going wrong and you don't know how to fix it, it's going to be because of that. Sound feedback when testing a mic. That's a good one. We're going to give Andrew 3 points for that question. And I jumped out of term, chatty Joni. I apologize. I just saw it pop up. Sound feedback. Here's what happens. Okay. Say this is a speaker. Okay. This is a speaker. The speaker is here. And and I'm wearing a microphone. All right. Now, what I have to do is I have to make sure that the speakers are in front of me. Okay. If I move the speakers behind me and my microphone is here and I turn this way, all of a sudden you're going to get something like that, Chewbacca or something like that happening, because my sound is looping back into the speaker. Remember, the PA guy, public address guy, has to move the speakers in front of you on the stage, not behind the stage, because that's when you're going to get feedback. Okay. The other thing to remember too is when you get your laptop, and write this down because you're gonna forget. It's a 3.5 millimeter jack that you're going to plug into the side of your laptop, and then the other end of that cable is going to be a 1/4 inch phono plug that plugs into the PA system. When you do that from your laptop to the PA system, it's all males run home. Okay, so the pointy end of that phono plug will go into the PA system, and that will be at line level. Line level. If you put a 3-prong adapter on the very end and you take the output of your laptop 3.5 millimeter to the 3-prong audio jack that you see for microphones, that's going to come in at line microphone level. So the sound level will be much lower. You don't want mic level, you want line level. That's an advanced class. You got a bonus. That was a question. Do we run out of time? I think we're past the lightning round. Did we? How are we? We're
I
we're
believe
done.
Dr. Byrne also wanted to ask a question, so why don't we let him go and we can wrap up.
Okay. So what was his question? How to prevent sound feedback? We kind of talked about that.
Oh, did you have something else, Andy?
No, that was the biggest problem I'm having because in our hybrid meeting at one of my clubs, we're using a combination of the conference microphone from Anchor, but I've also been playing with the DJI individual wireless mic, and I'm trying to figure out how to get the wireless mic, which does great sound pickup for the audience that's on Zoom, but I'm not hearing them as clearly. And when I attach a speaker for them, I had feedback coming out.
Okay. So here's the visual. We're gonna use a piece of paper for the visual. And you're going, how does this guy know all this stuff? Because remember that little fat AV kid that was the grade level AV kid? That was me. That was me. All right. And I've been doing this since 4th grade. All right. So this, my friends, is the pattern of a microphone. Okay. This is the pattern of a typical microphone. So when I speak, it's going to pick up all the sound from this area. Okay. And so because the pattern is like a mushroom cloud, it's big. And remember, if that speaker is nearby, it's picking up that mushroom cloud, and I am consequently going to have feedback. But those of you that watch football and you see a person on the sidelines holding a dish, okay, it's a little dish parabola microphone, right? He's holding that dish and he's aiming it at the players, aiming at the referees, and he has headset or she has headsets on. And so what they did is they point that toward Dr. Byrne, and the little point of this is the pickup pattern of the microphone. It's called a supercardioid microphone. Now that I take this point and I point it toward Andy, may I call you Andy?
Yes,
you get an extra
absolutely.
point if I get to call you Andy. Okay, so you got an extra point. All right, so when I point this toward Andy, remember, it is no longer the mushroom picking up all of Andy's sound. I'm just pointing this point right at his lips. So now when I point it at his lips, the pickup pattern is not feeding back into the speaker because it's coming on the inverse side of an ice cream cone. It's a point. Okay, so there's no way for that feedback to go into the microphone because it's got a point of sound. All right, does that make sense for you guys?
Yeah, Yeti has that on their dial. We have the different types of ways
Changing the
to fix
pattern.
that out. Yes.
Right, so you want to make that narrow as possible. And if you can pick up a headset mic like this, now remember, if you bought a lavalier microphone, a wireless microphone, and it has a lavalier, you can buy the compatible headset microphone, which would be even a more super cardioid microphone. Because remember, the pickup pattern for here is right here. And so the sound is less likely, especially if my speaker is on this side, there's less likely that my feedback will go back in that direction because my microphone pickup is here. Okay.
All right. Well, why don't we wrap up? We'll call on, we sort of dispensed with evaluators and general evaluator for this meeting. We did have some people assigned for different roles. We had a timer. We pretty much ignored our timer. I'm sorry, Carolina. You're a wonderful timer. She was also our vote counter. We didn't give her anything to vote on, but we have the whole point system where Jicky got to bestow with godlike powers points on various speakers here. And so maybe we can get a report from Joni along with anything else interesting that was going on in the chat. Joni, can you tell us who won our points count and what else was going on in the chat besides questions?
We have a number of ties, and based on what Jicky said, Aurelie won initially, but Andy with his questions actually ended up beating everyone by 1 point. Andy, I think it's because you allowed Jicky to call you Andy. As it relates to the chat, everyone, the ellipsis, save the chat because there's a lot of useful information, not only on how to contact Jicky and find out about online presenters, as well as other presentations from David, but also information posted from Andy on pathways as well. And I'm gonna ask Jicky, there are a few questions still left in the chat, so you can always feel free to answer. That way persons will have it saved.
All right, terrific. We did also have an counter for this evening. Can you tell us what the damage is, Andre?
Well, as I said at the beginning of the meeting, my role for today was really easy. I was drawn into the presentation by Jicky. Amazing. So thank you very much. Clear, understandable examples, the speech, the timbre. At the same time, one thing what I noticed is about saying, I'm going to. And when it's said quite a few times, my job was to pay attention. Perhaps sometimes you could use, say, we are going to click. So are we clicking? We doing something right now. That was the only thing that's stuck into my ear. Overall, a really pleasant, calming voice. So thank you.
All right. Let's hear from our grammarian, Marianne Grady.
Well, we don't traditionally do the grammarian role for a guest speaker, so I did not. But the only remark I wrote down, David, was yours. And I liked when you said the counter was your nemesis. I thought that was pretty cute. So back to you, David.
Well, it's pretty true. How about our watcher for this evening, Karthika? This was all about visuals today. What did you say?
Obviously, it's all about visuals, and I think we will be having all the snapshots which is taken during our meeting. We have all our members to be present gracefully during the meeting. We are right in our full attention, grabbing what is happening during the meeting. We have more information to be taken to our steps towards in person. We were steady fast, stationary, and sometimes we were also staring at the screen. More than posit, we were looking as a positron, a positive change in us. And I think I'll be presenting as a report in the social media platform, our visual, not only with the visual effects that we had or the learnings through our today's meeting, but also the presentations and the learnings which Jicky has taken us to our next level of presenting ourselves using the PowerPoint will also be presented in the social media platform.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's see. I think that pretty much concludes my duties as Toastmaster of the day, which have been conducted in a regular manner. But it's been a great meeting. I do hope that those of you who are visiting for the first time will come back and see one of our regular meetings. Of course, our meetings are never regular. They're always extraordinary, but they're extraordinary in a different way when we have a few different speakers and table topics and other elements of the meeting going on. And so we do hope to see you back. I'd like to throw it over to our president, Marianne Grady, who would probably like to chat with the guests a bit more.
Certainly would. I just want to let everybody know, since we do have so many guests tonight, that online presenters, our mission is to serve those who give online presentations professionally or aspire to do so. So it could be webinars, webcasts, live video, and company videos. This is the right place for you. So if you are interested in hearing more about our club, Andrei Smolenko is our Vice President of Membership. He's putting his hand up over there. So look for him and he'd be happy to send you some more information. But we are so happy that you all joined us tonight.